Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning.
Thought your hair wasn't there. You thought your hair wasn't there. You thought you was going to get a sneaky one.
Who needs LeBron James?
Who
needs him?
Yeah.
Right? You suckered me into that.
No, hold on.
You knew he had COVID. You knew he wasn't going to play. There's no way I would have taken the bet if I knew they were without LeBron. They're better off without it.
Man, you didn't get out of here.
I got you again.
Yeah, you thought you were going to get, you like, I said, this joker done got me again.
Yeah.
LeBron got COVID. I gave this joker 4 points.
Yeah.
Midway through the third, I was looking bad, though.
Yeah.
Either way, how about let's start by saying, LeBron, get well soon.
Yes.
We do not like it when you're away from us.
No,
so
we
yes,
don't.
as you guys pointed out, LeBron didn't play last night after entering health and safety protocols, but the Lakers rallied to a big 117-92 win against the Kings without him. The purple and gold trailed by 14 in the third quarter, but Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook combined for 48 points in the comeback. And after the game, AD told reporters, quote, "We still have to find ways to win. We can't let that affect us. Me and Russ as the head of the snake, we've got to be able to continue to lead these guys until LeBron comes back." So, Shannon, what did last night tell you?
It told me that they can play defense when they want to, Skip. You look at the third quarter, they're down by 13. And I'm like, this is embarrassing. If this is the Golden State Warriors, Skip, this is the Phoenix Suns, and you're without your best player, Skip, I can get it. I can get that. This is Sacramento. They had just lost by 30, Sunday night, Saturday night? They had just lost by 30. And here it is, you coming out here and y'all playing like this, and then all of a sudden, something clicked. They're like, we're better than this. They started playing defense, and the next thing you know, Russ and AD took over started taking over the third quarter. Malik Monk, Skip, he needs to get 25, 30 minutes a night. Because he can create his own shot, he can get to the basket, and he can knock down the three. Wayne Ellington came in, gave us valuable minutes, knocking down the three. Dwight Howard somehow, Skip, if you're going to go with a big lineup, he needs to be in the big lineup with AD. I'm sorry, DJ, they've given you an opportunity. He's just not as active as Dwight, Skip. And you saw Dwight's presence in the third. When they started playing defense, he started challenging everything at the rim. AD started challenging shots at the rim. And all of a sudden, they're getting easy buckets. I felt very good. They blocked the shot, get out on a fast break, and Wayne Ellington pulls up from 27. And splashes nothing with that. So I'm hanging about you. I said, okay, we got this one now. You shaking your head, that's what I'm shaking my head. I'm saying we got this against the Kings. Skip, what did they recognize, Skip? 8-14. I said, yeah, we got this against the Kings.
They just recently fired their coach. Go ahead.
Yeah, they got a lot going on. They got a lot going on. But, Skip, I got to take what I can get right now. Yeah. We haven't played up to expectation. As you mentioned, we had the easiest schedule through the first 20, 25 ball games. Yep. And 3/4 of those games were at home. And they lost. You lost to the Kings. You lost twice to OKC. So in a situation like that, Skip, you're happy to get a win. And you take it any kind of way you can. But AD is absolutely right. This is... You and Russ, AD and Russ, needs to say, you know what, even though LeBron isn't here, we're good enough, us two, with Malik Monk and some of these other guys, Carmelo chimping in, to win some of these games. Skip, you just can't, well, LeBron ain't here, okay, let's just throw in the towel and just hope till he gets back. I love what I saw last night, even though it was against Sacramento. Yeah. But maybe this is something, a sign of, a positive sign. But Skip, I need them to string together. This is the second win. I'm going to need them to string together 5, 6, 7. I'm not saying go Phoenix on me. Yep. That would be nice. But if you can get 5, 6 of these together, maybe that's something to build on, Skip. Okay. But what I saw in the third quarter, from the time they were down 13 to the close out the ball game, you can win with that. That'll travel. That'll win you some games.
I got it. So before I launch on everything you just said, I'm going to step over here for just a moment and make a quick comment in all seriousness on your man, LeBron James. Yeah. When I saw the headline that he had COVID, right, it rocked me. Right. From my heart, it rocked me because LeBron got COVID? Of all the superstars out there, the Iron Man,
right.
impervious to injury. Or I know he's starting to have little knickknacks, but he's been an Iron Man for 19 NBA seasons. And it just shook me that we're almost 2 years into this pandemic, this COVID period on this earth of ours.
Right.
And LeBron got it. My Cowboys are already rocked.
Right.
They are leading the NFL in COVID.
But you know what, Skip? If you really think about it, it shouldn't be as surprising because what just happened? We just had a big holiday. You invited people.
I got it.
Who might not go through the same protocols as you go through.
I put LeBron on a pedestal a little above the other humans.
Yeah,
you know,
but
like
COVID don't know who LeBron is.
COVID doesn't care who LeBron is, and they did just come off a road trip, but it could just be the holiday.
Right.
It's out there, it's everywhere, and we are still under mask mandate here in L.A., and that's what shook me more. If LeBron actually got COVID while he was in the L.A. area back home, then it's like it's still here. We still have a mask mandate, obviously, in the hallways here at Fox, wherever we go, and it just got me.
Right.
But now back to the action. What really got me from a basketball perspective was I'm watching the game, ho-hum, and I'm trying to watch the Steph game on my other TV, and it's starting to heat up at Phoenix. And I look up with 9:59 left in the third quarter, and Rashawn Holmes has a little putback because he's just having his way.
Right.
He made 12 of 13 shots last night, and this happened.
Yeah.
And he has a putback that makes the score 66-52. That's a 14-point lead. And it had just sort of teetered around 14 the whole night, where it looked like the Kings were in total control. Last seen at Staples Center last Friday night, the Kings were doing numbers on the Kings team.
Right.
And it went 3 overtimes, and it was a crazy, wild shootout. And in the end, they won by what? 4 points. They won in the 3 overtimes by 4 points.
137.
Okay.
Yep.
So way to go, Kings. And so we talked about, is this a revenge game? LeBron sort of suggested we're going to go get even with them.
He said we'll get our get back.
We'll get our get back game. Okay, so we got that. But then there's no LeBron, and I'm saying no LeBron, no hope, no chance.
Right.
And then this happened. Your team went on a run of 65-26. It is hard in the National Basketball Association to go 65-26.
They went 40-8 at one point.
And would you believe the Sacramento Kings, featuring De'Aaron Fox, who I have high regard for, Buddy Hield, who you wanted to be a Laker? Would you believe that team missed 17 of its next 18 shots? That's hard to do.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe you and I could go out there and make one somewhere, right?
18. I would like to think so. Just
somewhere. And it was the most shocking spurt I've seen the whole NBA season. And I am a addicted nut. I watch it every night. I got 5 TVs going. And I haven't seen anything quite as shocking as what the Lakers did to the Kings under the circumstance without the King.
Because you had seen no indication for the entire season that Lakers had this in them.
Their biggest win so far came at home over Cleveland. And it was by 13 with LeBron. And you won by 25 coming from 14 down in the third quarter. That is impossibly great. And what happened to me in the third quarter was that all of a sudden, guess who showed up? Would you believe that Anthony Davis actually looked like Anthony Davis?
He did. He was a monster.
Is he not a top 10 player in this league? Would some people not have him as a top 5 player? Is he not on his way to being a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer? Is Russell Westbrook not on his way to being a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer? So those 2 players should be the best players on this floor last night at Sacramento, right? And they were in the third quarter because they were the difference on the scoreboard. They were the ones who, Anthony made 5 of 7 and Russ made 4 of 8 shots, and they carried the scoring load.
Malik Monk with 3 or 4 from the 3.
And if he's going to make 6 for the game, you got a chance. But the key difference to me was, and I've said this since he has been with the Lakers, left the Lakers, and then came back to the Lakers, it's all about Dwight Howard. Another, you believe, slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer just because he's been Defensive Player of the Year, 3 times? Okay, so he did a stand-up interview. I don't know that you had your sound up by this point on Sports Spectrum LA, which is the Southern California Lakers network, right after the game. And he readily admitted that Coach Vogel told me before the game I was not going to play. And he said, well, I just thought, okay, I got to stay ready anyway.
Right.
And it got so desperate that Vogel had to scrap whatever plan he had before the game and insert Dwight Howard. Yeah. And I thought Dwight Howard changed the game.
He did.
Because he can still dominate on the defensive end, and he still wreaks havoc wherever he goes because bodies are flying everywhere, right?
Yeah.
He just causes problems on both ends of the floor because he's still so powerful. He's got the great shoulders, and it's like he put the team on his broad shoulders, and here they went because he's a force. And I don't know why they still start DeAndre Jordan. I don't get it because he was discarded by the Nets for a reason, and he's very close. He's best friends with KD and Kyrie and that whole group, and James. They're very close. And the Nets just said, no, we don't need him. We don't want him.
Speaking of Dwight, Skip, it's not an accident that the Lakers finally won the rebounding battle.
They did. Well, look at the numbers he threw. He
had 5 offensive. He had 13 rebounds in the mouth. Because Skip, they started DJ, and then early on in the game, you can see that ain't it. He played almost the second half.
He did.
Dwight Howard played almost the second half. He played 32 minutes. When was the last time Dwight Howard played that many minutes, Skip?
Yeah, and he throws in a couple of blocks and 13 rebounds. That's how you win basketball games. And what did I tell you yesterday? The biggest difference in this team was it was #1 in defensive efficiency rating last year, and it has plummeted to 16th. Well, from that moment in the third quarter through the fourth quarter, the 65 to 26 run, they played the best defense I've seen all year because they got interested.
They did.
They got urgent. Yep. They got desperate. They got prideful. I actually saw purple and gold pride on display where, to me, they finally just said, okay, we don't have LeBron, so what? Are we chopped liver? They're not chopped liver. And we've been saying this all year. Where is your pride, AD? Russ has pride because he plays hard, but does he have winning pride or is it just stat pride? Well, last night it looked like he had winning pride because he locked down on defense. And all of them got into somebody on defense. And I stepped back from it and I said, that's it. That'll work. Again, albeit against the 8 and 14 Sacramento Kings.
Skip, you remember on Friday, De'Aaron Fox got like 30 shot attempts. He had 4 last night. Buddy Hield had like 18 shot attempts. Look what he had last night. We had 7 shot attempts. So that's telling me you're contesting things. You're not just, you know what, okay, I can't get there. You make that extra effort to Skip. They were switching and rotating, and somebody get beat at the dribble. Here come AD to erase it. Here come Dwight Howard to erase it. They can do that. But they were just like, man, we're just going to outscore you tonight. We're going to rest on one end, then we're going to get it going on the other end, and then you have these long periods. They still have a period, Skip, where they go 3 minutes and they don't score. Well, if you don't play defense and you go 3 minutes without putting the basketball in the hoop, guess what happens? A 2-point lead, all of a sudden is a 16-point lead, and you got Frankie B calling a timeout.
I agree.
But they played well defensively. Offensively, it's kept with the weapons they got. They can score. But you better be able to lock somebody else down.
They have played heartless defense this year.
They have.
So my 2 favorite quotes last night came from this game after the game from the 2 head coaches. And I'm going to start with my man Alvin Gentry. I've known him forever, and he's a good man and a good basketball coach. I think he got a raw deal in New Orleans. That's just me, but he's now the interim coach, obviously in place of Luke Walton in Sacramento. And he said after the game, I want to apologize to every Kings fan out there because you do not deserve this. The second half was a disaster, and it was an embarrassment. Well, we second that emotion because it was embarrassing. But I will also point out that Laker Nation is now so fervent. It is now following this team on the road like crazy. And once again, it took over another rival arena last night because I'm just listening to my TV. And when if I walk away to use the bathroom or whatever, and I'm hearing the roar, I'm like, who scored? Because I'm not sure. Because the Lakers were getting louder roars for scoring than the home team.
And then, Skip, after the game started to get out of hand and they started panning, you like, hold on, is this Staples? You see all these purple and gold, all the people in purple and gold sitting close. That's got to be really frustrating.
Okay, now to my favorite quote of the night came from your man, Frankie V, Frank Vogel. After the game, Frank Vogel had the audacity to say, Every now and then, a coach has to light a fire under his team. Today was one of those games. We weren't giving the necessary effort to transition defense and with our pick and roll coverages. Sometimes you have to let them hear about it. Frankie V, after the game, was patting himself on the back for his halftime speech that relit the Lakers' fire. Because I believe that Frankie V, I don't know if he's watching us yesterday, but I think he knows he is on the hot seat. Of course. That if this continues to teeter along at 500, somebody's going to have to pay a price, and he is in harm's way. He is David the easiest. Right?
Remember what happened with David Blatt?
Do I? It's always easiest if you're going to try to just shake it up.
Yes.
Well, you can't send LeBron home. You can't trade Russ. You could if you tried, but they're not going to do that.
AD's not going anywhere.
No, they're not going anywhere. But Frankie V could go somewhere because nobody would really care, because I don't think he's become exactly beloved in Laker Nation. And every night when they start to teeter in a game, I look at Twitter, what's trending, and it's always Frankie V, something about
rotations. He's terrible. You get him out of there.
He's all over it.
Exactly.
So he is now taking credit for this victory last night because he lit the halftime fire with his speech. Hell, fire, and damnation. He spat at his team at halftime.
You should have lit a fire because it was you that set the lineups. You the one that's putting situations out there, and they're terrible in the pick and roll. They are. They're terrible in the pick and roll defense. They're terrible in the pick and pop. But what we see with Dwight Howard, he's getting his hands all up. He's like, I'm trying to take away the bounce pass, because when you try to bounce it to the guy that's rolling to the basket, I'm just trying to get some deflections. They got some deflections last night. He just brought a different type of energy to the game. And I think AD saw how Dwight was playing, and all of a sudden AD went the extra effort. I saw Russ go the extra effort. Malik Monk, we saw guys, Skip and Horton Tucker hadn't been playing well. They're like, well, we can't give you these minutes, bro. We can't give you 28 minutes when you're giving us this kind of production. Okay, Austin Reeves, get in there. Okay, Ellington, get in there. Malik Monk has been in the starting lineup. Even when LeBron got back, Skip, the closing lineup, Malik Monk's been on the court.
Yes.
And it seems to me this is how it's going to be. Now, I know he was nicked at the start of the season, but unless he was nicked, it made no sense for me that he wouldn't be in the starting lineup over Kent Bazemore.
Okay.
But if you look at what they did last night, Skip, I don't want to make too much of it because that were the Kings. This should be, Skip, this shouldn't, as a matter of fact, we shouldn't even be talking about this. It should be beneath our dignity that the Lakers are pleased, and we're talking about it, they beat the Kings. The Kings aren't going to. Skip,
well, it has come to this.
That's what I'm saying.
Because your Lakers are now 12-11. They just went one game over 500 against the Kings.
Right.
Okay, but I did think it was significant because of this. I'm sure your man LeBron was watching.
Yes.
I hope he was taking to heart what was not happening on the floor. I've told you before, the key to this season is that he's shooting too many three-point shots. I told you yesterday he was coming off a 3-game stretch in which he had attempted the most threes of any 3-game stretch in his entire career.
Right.
34 in the last 3 games, including the middle game, which was 2 of 13 against the Kings in the triple overtime. 2 of 13, obviously, is just killer because there's something about this three-point shot that has changed basketball for better and for worse.
For good and for
because you
bad.
can live or you can die with the three. If you are hitting your threes, especially on the road at Indiana, see overtime, you will take a crowd out of, you will shoot them in the heart and in the lungs. You'll puncture their lungs.
Yes.
But if you start missing threes, you will take the heart out of your team so fast because it's just wasted possession, and he'll take them too early in the clock. I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to shoot it. So what was the key problem against Sacramento in the triple overtime loss was he was 2 of 13 from 3.
Right.
Okay?
That's not good enough.
Okay, we're going to talk about Steph had a terrible shooting night last night, but he doesn't have them like this. Like LeBron is a below average three-point shooter.
Right.
So what was the big difference last night at Sacramento was, well, they didn't do that. They hit 11 of 28, which is 39.3%, which will work. It's good enough. But they didn't shoot the Kings out of the gym last night. It was not a three-point salvo that beat them. That's not what happened. It was just everybody playing hard on defense and chipping in on offense. Because you can't point to one offensive stat and say, there's the difference. They all did it.
Well, what they did, Skip, is that they kept the King. They shot left 44% from the floor. They shot 20% from the three-point line, as opposed to what they shot what they shot Friday.
They got whatever they wanted.
Whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted.
Hey, listen, De'Aaron Fox said, I got this.
Right.
I'll just lefty dribble. I'll just get right in the lane, and then I'll just get to the rim.
Exactly.
Buddy Hield said, you're going to let me shoot this? Oh, I got this.
Right.
So what Buddy Hield do last night?
1 for 7.
Nothing.
1 for 6 from 3.
Okay. Somebody got a hand in his face.
Right.
Okay. Way to go. So the blueprint was that there was no LeBron, and I think it got desperate. We're finally the soon-to-be Hall of Famers, the eventual Hall of Famers. I think they all said, okay, this is enough of this.
Because, Skip, we've seen teams play. We see the Warriors play without Steph Curry, and they still win.
Yep.
Because there's a pride factor in there. We've seen teams play without their best player.
Agreed.
And even if they don't win, Skip,
Agreed.
It's a very competitive game. What we haven't seen nearly enough, even with Russ and AD on the court, the Lakers be competitive enough when LeBron is not there. That's unacceptable. I think finally they got enough pride in themselves last night that says, look, we're better than this. I'm not saying we're supposed to beat it's not like we got to beat the Warriors and the Suns and Milwaukee and all these teams back to back to back. But there are some of these teams that we're better than.
Okay.
Even without LeBron.
All right.
And no turnover. They had 10 at half. They had 4 in the second half.
That'll work because Russ was quiet. I didn't even remember.
Skip, I can live with 4. You can live with 4. You just can't live with 8, 9, and 10.
I agree. So now let's see if they can keep it going because LeBron's, I don't know how long he's going to be gone. A couple of games.
Was it 10 days?
I don't know. He has to pass two tests. He's vaccinated.
Right.
That's what he said in the opening media session, right?
Yeah.
So we trust he's vaccinated.
Right.
So he's going to have to pass 2 tests in 24 hours. So I don't know. He's going to at least miss the next game, I assume. Next game is, guess who? The Clippers, who are number 2 in defensive efficiency to Golden State at number 1. So it's no cakewalk.
I can't tell they're number 2 lately.
Okay.
You see what they've been putting out there lately.
They haven't been able to score, but they can defend. So they will equal your defensive pride in this game. Then the Celtics visit, and then they got to go to Memphis and go to Oklahoma City. So we'll start to see if they're legit.
We need to go. They need to go on a hot streak. They need these next 4 games. They need to be all in the left column, the win column, and then he'll be in trouble because when the King come back, and he will return.
Well, he's missed 12 out of their 23 games, so he's been gone all too often.
But as long as we get like 55, 58 games, we be straight.
No mercy. The Cowboys are looking to snap their recent funk, and the leadership to do that is coming from an unexpected source. Linebacker Micah Parsons has been a revelation for Dallas this year, and the frontrunner for Defensive Rookie of the Year is embracing the spotlight, saying, quote, "Let the eyes be on me. It ain't going to change my preparation. Some people are just born for the moment, and I believe I was born for it." Ooh, I love the confidence. Shannon, can he back it up?
Yeah, he's already backed it up. He's the best defensive rookie. He's a top 10 defensive player in the NFL, and he's a rookie. Don't let him being a rookie fool you to say, well, no, he got to do it for some years. He's a top 10 defensive player currently, regardless of status, how long he's been in the league. That's how good he is. And Skip, I saw this coming. I said, if you look at this kid, look at it. Skip, a lot of times guys have measurables, but it doesn't translate to the tape. You hope what you see on tape, when you get him to the combine or you work him out, you hope, man, this kid plays fast. This dude ran 4.4. He plays explosive. He got a 40-inch vertical. Man, look how he changed direction. Short shuttle, off the charts. Check, check, check. And then you watch him. And you watch how explosive he is. And you watch how he closes the distance. And you watch the moves that he has. He'll start you up the field. And as soon as he feels that you're getting up, he'll cross your face. And as soon as he says, okay, now you're too light, he'll bull over the top of you. Skip, he's already has an arsenal. For a young player, that's second to none because he can spin you, he can beat you around the edge by binging like a young Von Miller, Derek Thomas could. He'll cross your face, he'll bull you. He's legit. I've got no problems with him saying this because he is a big-time player, a prime-time player, and he wants that responsibility. He wants everyone to know, you got to block me. When offensive coordinators, when they sat in their meeting, they said, well, this guy, You better find out where number 11 is, because if you don't know where he is, he'll wreck your offense. And that's how good he is, Skip, and he's only going to get better. He strikes me as a guy, Skip, as that he's only going to gain confidence because he's like, hold on. Man, I got 9 sacks. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing. Just imagine. When I really know when I don't have to rely on athleticism, when I really understand, when I can see certain techniques and see how he's sitting the guard or the tackle is sitting, he light, okay. Or I can just start looking at formations and know it's run versus pass. Once he gets that down, by his 3rd year, Skip, would I be surprised if he's not a defensive player of the year within his first 3 to 4 years? Absolutely not. The Dallas Cowboys lucked out on this. By moving back a couple of picks, you got the best defensive player, and arguably you might have, when it's all said and done, you might have the best player in the 2021 draft. When it's all said and done, he has that kind of ability, Skip, and I have no problem whatsoever. You can make a case, Skip, he one of the top 3 players on the Cowboys, and he just so happens to be a rookie.
Top 3?
He's one of the top. You can make that case. Okay, you want to say Zach Martin? Okay, Zach Martin is one of the two best guards in all football. Ty Smith is one of the 3 or 4 best tackles. But you're going to have to go. He's not, I would not take him over TJ Watt. But, Skip, there are not very many outside edge rushers that are better. And they say edge rushers because now everybody that's on the edge, whether you're in or a linebacker, you get lumped into a category. But I look at him as an outside backer. Skip, there are not very many players. There are not 3 or 4 players better than he is right now.
Okay, you didn't actually interpret what I said when I said top 3. I'm saying top 1 on the Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
I'm going the other way.
Okay. I thought you said, because no. I look at Zach Martin. I still think Zach Martin is one of the 2.
Okay, I got it.
Zach Martin is still a special skill. But this kid here.
Micah Parsons is really, for me, the way I see it, from a very different point of view than you do, yeah. He is my only hope to hang on and win this division. He is my biggest hope to actually win a home playoff game. He has changed the way my team plays football because he has changed the way my defense plays. It plays with a different confidence level because it knows, all those guys out there know exactly what you just said as a Hall of Famer. They all know it in their heart, in their mind, and their soul.
Yeah.
That guy's just better.
Yeah.
We got somebody who's just better than they are.
That's how we felt, Skip, with Baltimore. Yeah. We got Ray Lewis, you don't.
You don't. It boils down to that. And I hesitate to keep lifting this kid up.
No, but he's legit.
He's legit. The last time a rookie won Defensive Player of the Year was LT, Lawrence Taylor, back in 1981.
Yeah.
Last time it happened. I'm here to suggest, I've been saying this for a month now, I believe he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, not just Rookie of the Year. He'll be the Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's just by accident now. They're like that. That's a foregone conclusion. But I'm talking about being voted the best defensive player in football because he's on his way. It depends what the outcome of the season is team-wise because to legitimize that award, your team has to at least be a playoff team. So we're heading in that direction because, and I don't use this word very often, this is special. You did see this coming before I did because I got fixated on need. I needed a cornerback. You can argue I still need a cornerback. And I love Patrick Surtain. He had another big pick 6 the other day.
He's AFC Defensive Player of the Week. He legit.
He is legit. He's going to be a 10-year Pro Bowl player. Maybe, who knows, 15-year. His father was legit, and his father, it's like father, like son. So I'm like, thank you. I'll take the other Alabama bookend corner to Trevon Diggs, and I'm good. I'm good to go. If you give me J.C. Horn, just because he's got great bloodlines to the NFL, you've played against his father, I'm okay with that. So what happens? My team is sitting at 10, and J.C. goes 8 to Carolina, and then boom, your Denver Broncos snatch Patrick Surtain right out from under our nose at 9. And to Jerry's credit, he's like, okay, I'm out. Philly, you want to come, whoever. And he trades back 2 slots to 12 to take, okay, we'll take second best. We'll take Micah Parsons. Well, look how long he lasted. He didn't go second overall. Remember, Lawrence Taylor went second to George Rogers, Heisman Trophy winner, who as a rookie, led the league in rushing.
Yeah.
So he backed it up right away with the New Orleans Saints.
Correct.
It's a long time ago. Yeah. Okay, but you remember
I remember George is from Georgia. He went to Duluth.
In South Carolina.
Yep, University of South Carolina. Yep.
Okay, so the point was, LT, if you redrafted after about 3 games, you would have said, Lawrence Taylor's going to change life for the Giants, and he did.
He did.
He turned them into a quasi-dynasty. I don't know if we can go to dynasty, but he was their driving force.
Well, Skip, the left tackle is famous because of LT.
Yep.
Because if you didn't have one, you couldn't beat the Giants.
Couldn't beat the Giants.
And everybody in the NFC tried to go get one. They went and got one. They got Gary Zimmerman. They got Joe Jacoby. You name a team in the AFC, they went and got a left tackle to block 56. Now, I get what you're saying. There's a chance, but it's going to be hard to beat Myles Garrett because Myles Garrett is going to he's going to probably have 20 sacks, 20 and a half sacks. He's up there with tackle for losses, but he's right up there. He's going to be in the mix, Skip. He's going to be in the mix for what you're saying. Not only he's going to win defensive rookie of the year. That's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about the big shebang.
The big shebang. Right now, Pro Football Focus, your favorite website, ranks Micah Parsons the number one, what they call pass rushing linebacker.
Right.
So however you want to define that position, it's the LT position.
Yeah.
Because LT, for those who don't go back that far, he stood up.
He was 30. They played a 34 defense.
He was called a linebacker.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Charles Haley, who I had at the Cowboys, was also he was
what they call an elephant. He was a DN, but he did a lot of his. He stood up a lot
in San Francisco. By the time he got to Dallas, he was
more hand in the dirt.
He was more hand in the dirt.
Yes.
Micah occasionally goes hand in the dirt, mostly just stands up, and that allows him a little mobility because he might stand up on the right end, or he might stand up on the left end, he might stand up in the middle of the formation. So he is moving around, but slowly but surely he is gravitating to rushing the passer, which is what he does best.
Yes.
He is now tied for second in this league in tackles for losses. Okay, that'll work. Sacks, so far, not sensational. He's got 9, which ranks 10th, but I think it's going to keep creeping up.
Right.
I think and again, he got close the other day to Derek Carr on Thanksgiving. Close, lots of pressures. But it took a while, took until overtime until he got him. If we could see when he finally got to him, was this not a game changer?
Well, yeah. Because it knocked him out of field goal range.
Well, we thought. We thought.
Oh, yeah, you my bad. I forgot your guy.
Yeah, look at this. We're talking about across his face.
Yeah.
He goes right across his face, right into Derek Carr, and Derek Carr is just shell-shocked because there he is. And yet, after that, I went from ecstasy to agony because on the very next play, speaking of the cornerback I don't have, I got a decent one. I just don't have a great one. The next play is this play. Kaboom. And all you have to do, Anthony Brown, is turn around and look at the ball because it hits you in the back of the head, right?
That's all you had to do.
And they're just going to call it. They're just going to, the flags are going to fly. If you don't turn your head, you're going to get it. Well, that's a 33-yard penalty, and it's game over. Yeah. You're in field goal range. It's done. And then it was just like slow death from there. It just kind of bled. We bled out, and he finally kicked to do a little walk-off. And that was that. So I went from Micah to Anthony because I went from Micah to no Patrick Surtain. If it's Patrick Surtain, I don't know, but maybe he makes that play. Maybe he turns around and picks the ball off. Maybe it changes the game.
I can get why you want Surtain because he's technically and fundamentally sound. He really has no flaws in his game, the way he can open up, the way he can turn, the way he can drive on the football. He doesn't take unnecessary risk. He's going to play it. Now, your boy Trayvon Diggs, Skip, he's more feast to famine. Now, he's going to get you because he says there's more short routes than deep routes. And I'm going to roll the dice that you're going to run speed out or a slant as opposed to a go. So he's going to get you a couple of times, especially if you don't make him honor you going deep. But this guy, Skip, even though as great as some of the cornerbacks are, Darrelle Revis, you're not taking Darrelle Revis over a Derek Thomas or Reggie White because they're closer to the ball. And I can stay away from Revis. I can stay away from Deion Sanders. How can I stay away from LT? How can I stay away from Reggie White or Bruce Smith when they get to come after my quarterback on every play? Yeah, you can slide the protection, but you weaken another side of your offensive line. So this is why I would take a rusher as opposed to somebody on the back end, even though they may be great. Because he's so much closer to the basketball. I believe his sacks would be even higher if you don't have him dropping in coverage.
Yep.
What the hell he doing in coverage? He can't sack the quarterback in coverage.
I told you that from day one. No.
I don't want him in hook the flat. I want him behind the line of scrimmage.
No. So I think DeMarcus Lawrence will be back on Thursday night. Not dead sure of that, but I think he will be. So all of a sudden you have a defensive end who is a hand in the dirt defensive end, more of a run stopper, can still rush the passer, has made a Pro Bowl. And in one more game, the game at Washington, which will be a make-or-break season-turning type game, I'm pretty sure Randy Gregory will be back from his calf injury for that game. How will that impact Micah Parsons? Well, I'm hoping it just frees him up because I'm afraid the Saints are just going to say, we will take him out of this game. He'll go, Sean Payton will go Belichick and just say, I don't care. I'm chipping in. I'm doubling it. Whatever it takes, I'm going to have two people blocking him because I need to keep him completely out of the fray because he will wreck the game if I don't, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm hoping D-Law, Gregory change life where it frees up, where you're going to have to single block him, and then he will wreak some more havoc. He will. That's when the sack total could start to mount, right?
Yeah, Skip, that 81 draft that you're talking about, they had some pretty good defensive players. You know, Singletary was in that draft. Kenny Easley run a lot.
Yeah.
Ricky Jack, they're pretty good draft.
Yeah, it was.
Now, if your guy ends up being one of those, all those guys in the Hall of Fame, you would have done pretty good. I think you would say, you know what? Even though I wanted Patrick Surtain, we got a Hall of Fame linebacker out of this deal. We're okay.
So I'm going to tell this story one last time. It's our man, Lil Wayne, sports savant, always ahead of the curve. When he told me that on his birthday tour of America, one of his stops was going to be Jerry World, and he does not love the Dallas Cowboys.
He does not like the Cowboys.
And when I said, why Jerry World? Micah. I said, Micah Parsons? This is before the Eagles game on a Monday night. Micah, I got to see him live. He's already that guy. He's that guy. And after the game, Wayne went and got his jersey and got him to sign it. And then Wayne told me, I didn't hang it in the man cave. I hung it in the living room. That's how much he thinks of the guy that you did see coming. And I saw flashes at Penn State, but my problem was he just didn't play last year.
And I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Because, Skip, you know, they like, I want to... What do they say when a guy doesn't come to the combine? He don't want to do anything, but just get the medical. I want to see a guy to compete. I want to see a guy.
And I also had one scout tell me before the draft, and it just went in one ear and out the other. Oh, he's full of himself. You have to be careful. He's full. Well, look at these quotes. Back it up.
Yes. The young man is confident, and he should be.
I don't mind being full of yourself when you can actually play that way and own it. I like the guy.
I love it.
Love it. And only the beginning.
Not the Cowboys.
For all of us. Fair enough.
We get that.
Fair enough. We know that by now. We got to go back to this, guys. The Suns won their 17th straight game last night, beating the Warriors 104-96. And a big reason why was Steph Curry's struggles from the field. The two-time MVP had his worst career shooting night, going 4 for 21 from the field and only 3 of 14 from three-point range. Shannon, how do you explain this bad night for Steph?
Nah, Steph Curry don't need explanation. Some things you offer without explanation, and he had an off night, Skip. He can't make 8 threes every night, but we know what Steph Curry represents. And even though Steph was off last night, Skip, this game was still nip and tuck all the way down to the very end. So you got to hope, let's just say for the sake of argument, Suns, you get the Warriors in a 7-game series. You got to hope that he plays like that in 4 or 5 of those games. What's the likelihood of that happening? Because by then, guess what? His trusted sidekick, more than a sidekick, Klay Thompson is back. So all the coverage that you're running with him, do you really want Klay Thompson taking those wide open looks? I don't think so. Skip, give the Suns credit. The one thing that they can do is that they can execute in the clutch. When you got a guy like a Chris Paul, he's always going to get you in the right sets, and he's always going to give you an opportunity to not get a good shot, but a great shot. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to make those shots. And that's what the Suns have been able to do in clutch time, is that they get great shots, but they knock them down. They make them. And Chris Paul is the reason why. But Steph Curry had an off night. Skip, the guy was making 8 threes basically every other game. He can't be that hot all the time. He had an off night, and they were still right there. George, Skip, like I said, I believe this team, I'm going to be shocked if they don't win at least 67, 68 ball games because they shoot the ball too good. They just had an off night. Jordan Poole carried them in the first, and I'm like, And Jordan Poole, he shoot. So imagine when you get Poole and Clay and Steph together, and Draymond's going to be Draymond. Draymond's not going to have no 20 points, but he's going to get you rebounds, he's going to get you assists, and he's always going to play outstanding defense. But Steph, you just offered to chalk it up to, hey, Phoenix, you did a good job. You won 17 straight. Now you're tied with the Warriors for the the best overall record in all the NBA.
Yep.
Give the Suns credit. They did an outstanding job. They made it tough for him. But a lot of the shots that Steph missed last night, Skip, we've seen him through the first 20 games. He normally makes those shots. The only time I see him struggle like this was opening night against the Lakers, and they still beat the Lakers by double digits. Just goes to show you they got a very good team. But I'm not concerned about Steph Curry. I'm going to say this way, you know what, Suns? Good job last night. You won a ball game in your building. You're tied with the Warriors for the best record. But I'm not concerned about Steph Curry.
Okay. I'm going to make this proclamation one more time. Without Kevin Durant on the Warriors, this team will go as far as Steph shoots this team.
Yeah,
in the end, that's what it'll boil down to. How many shots will he make when he makes them? He has to make them at the correct times to change games or put games away. So we've seen 2 games of the year so far. It was the opening night game, Golden State at Staples. It was a big deal, a lot of hoopla. And Steph came up even smaller than he is. And then this was the next big game of the year at Phoenix between the 2 best teams. Most people think by far. We're going to talk about the Nets in a minute here.
Yeah.
But defensively, these are 2 of the top teams. I told you the Clippers are second in defensive efficiency, but Phoenix is third and Golden State is first. So right on schedule, what happens in the game of the year to date? Steph goes 4 of 21, 3 of 14, and more importantly, in a game that Phoenix led by only 2 going to the fourth quarter, what did Steph do in the fourth quarter? He managed to take only 2 shots, 0 of 2. He managed to make 1 free throw and 1 attempt. He had 1 rebound and 2 assists and scored 1 point in the fourth quarter. Okay, you're going to lose.
Yes.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to lose because you lost the fourth quarter 24-18 because Steph was a no-show in the fourth quarter. I have said repeatedly that in the very biggest moments, the greatest shooter we've ever seen is not the greatest scorer in clutch time. Not the greatest. And I'm going to say it again. I will never get over what happened against you guys in 2016, LeBron and Kyrie and the Cleveland Cavaliers, when it's 3-1 Golden State with 2 of the last 3 games in Steph's house. And what did he do? Again, he doesn't have KD, right? That's why they went after KD. They went and recruited him. But what does Steph do in those last 3 games? He shoots 30% from the floor, 25% from 3. He doesn't even shoot a free throw in any of those last 3 games. And his plus-minus is at -12. And then we got to that game 7. That's in his house. This is your night to take over that game. And Steph went 6 of 19 from the floor, 1 of 6 from 3. And in the fourth quarter, he was even worse. He was, the fourth quarter, he's 1 of 6 from the floor and 1 of 5 from 3. For the game, he was 4 of 14 from 3. So my point is, that's on him because that's the night where you rise and shine and you take over that game in your house. And then it comes down to LeBron's big chase down block and Kyrie's big late shot. But the only reason those things happen is because he allowed it to happen.
Well, here's the thing, Skip. If you remember when they came back against OKC, game 6, it was Clay made 11 threes. So now you add him to the mix. So now all of a sudden, because you look, they got some good defenders. You look at Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, Chris Paul, all those guys can defend. DeAndre Ayton, D.A.,
They're very good.
He can control the paint.
That's why they've won 17 straight games.
Right. So now, all of a sudden, you can't double. You can't get the ball. Okay, you want to get the ball out of Steph's hands to get it in Klay Thompson's hands and Jordan Poole. So now, Skip, I think you're going to have even more space and guys that can shoot the basketball. Look, this is a one-off. He probably won't have another game where he's 4 of 21 from the floor, 3 of 14 from the 3. I want to give the Suns, instead of, putting all the blame, it's like, well, Steph did have a bad game, but I believe the Suns had something to do with that.
Mikal Bridges did a number on it.
Yeah.
And Ayton did a great job of moving his feet on the switches.
Yes.
You have to switch off, and you got to get a hand up.
Yes. You got, when you switch, Skip, you already got to have the hand up, because if you don't, he'll let it go.
He will let it go. So could we quickly look at his 17 misses, just so you can see how strongly, how completely was he defended on these misses? There's the first one. There's a hand up. I'll give you that. Here we go again. Boy, this is almost logo. Back iron. And then here we go again. Oof. Yeah. Oof. Defended. Yeah, that's, of course. I'll give you
got to make him make tough shots.
Yeah.
If he makes those, you just tip your hat. Look at it.
Yeah, he just threw that up.
That's DA getting over there.
Did. He got there. Usually he makes that, but that's the big guy got his hand.
Yes.
Okay. Then
he just missed. He just missed that.
Now you're just having a bad night. Yeah. Now you're a little out of whack, out of sync. I'm going to make this one, but that's the big man.
Block.
The big man got a fingertip on it. Then let's drive it down the lane, and Bridges just said, "No way, not in my house." Okay, and then back iron. Usually that was as clean a look as he got. That's a pretty clean look.
That's money there.
Now they just got in his head, to me, and he is only 6'3", so he's having a hard time in there. And usually that's way wide left, and then that's way wide left, and now he's just lost it, and he's just jacking them up, and that's it. That's 17 missed shots. Yeah. They did a nice job,
they did.
But I've seen other teams do what I thought was a nice job, and they fall.
Make a miss, Skip. But you know what? The Suns are saying, hold on. Y'all do realize we played the whole second half without Book. Book left the game with a slightly strained in his left hamstring. So the Suns are like, okay, Steph was off. We get that. But Book wasn't there either. He had 10 points early. Was looking good.
Yep.
So right now, if you put me to it, I'm like, well, it's because the West is coming down to those two teams.
Yep. Well,
who playing for third, fourth, fifth? Who's playing for the play-in, and who's got 3 through 8?
Okay. So the Suns have to feel really good about what they did without Book, but now he's got pulled hamstring. He had a slightly pulled one during the finals. Right. Remember that? Going into game 3.
Right.
And now they have to go right back to Golden State, and I think they'll get paid back. And I'm going to guess that Steph will pay them back
he'll bounce
himself.
Back. He'll bounce back. The likelihood of him having another, what did he shoot? 4-21, 3 or 14 from 3, Skip. I ain't betting money that he'll do that again.
I'm just not betting on him in the postseason. I just don't love him without KD. I think KD changed life for them, and now that they don't have him, I don't care how many games they win in the regular season, they're vulnerable in the post.
Well, KD will have to change life for himself, too, now.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's still the MVP to me.
No, Steph Curry is.
Well, Steph Curry is?
Yeah.
After that, 4 of 21.
Man, KD just had a game very similar just 2 nights ago. Skip, don't do that.
Not like 4 of 21. And by the way, speaking of last year's finals, it's still shameful to me that this Phoenix team could not beat Milwaukee because they just said no. Monty Williams. He just said, nope, I'm sticking with my young man. I'm going to let him take Giannis, and Giannis just cooked him. Just cooked him for 6 games because they would not. And what did Chris Paul say after game 3?
We got to find a way to build a wall.
Yeah. We got to figure out how to build a wall. That's what everybody did, Giannis, and they didn't build one.
Well, he was in those finals. Giannis was Shaq. 35, 14, and 5. That's 35, 14, and 5. That's what he was. He was Shaq. He was just that dominant. He gave you a 50-piece. But I knew they was in trouble when he went and got 40. I thought, was that game 2, he ended up getting 40, Skip, and they lost.
Yep.
I said, y'all better find a way to do something with that. He's like, because the first game he was feeling like, my knee don't feel so bad. Because remember, he missed the game 6, Skip, because he hurt his knee against Atlanta.
Yep.
He's like, man, my knee don't feel so bad.
No.
They ain't got 3 people in front of the basket. Oh, I'm about to go crazy.
Okay, that Phoenix team I saw last night is better than Milwaukee. They should have won that.
Oh, yeah. But, Skip, they ain't play defense like that. Milwaukee, they would shoot some threes, but you better guard the paint.
Yep.
You better guard the paint. And what do they do? Rebound. That's one thing. Milwaukee going to get you on those glass. Bobby Portis, and you got Giannis going to get you, and Brook Lopez. They got a big team, Skip. You still heard about that, huh?
I am heard about that.
No mercy.
While Ezekiel Elliott nurses a nagging knee injury, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones expects his star tailback to get a serious load against the Saints tomorrow night on Fox. Zeke has only had 9 carries in each of his last 2 games as he's been splitting time with backup Tony Pollard. So, Shannon, is he capable of carrying a serious load here?
Skip, there's a yes to this, but the serious load is not the load that you and Cowboy fans are used to seeing Zeke carry in his first 3 years in the league. No, he's not that back anymore. But if you use him like you did, you love to mention these games, 95 against the Eagles, 143 against Carolina, 110 against the Giants the first time around, Skip.
That was it. 3-game stretch.
But here's the thing.
It was games 2, 3, and, 3, 4, and 5. Yes.
How about I do it to you like this? In the Cowboys' 7 wins, their 51% run, 49% is the 51% pass, 49% run.
Yep.
In their 4 losses, they're 65% pass, 35% run.
Mm-hmm.
You heard Jen in the read. Zeke is averaging 4.5 yards a carry. Mm-hmm. In the last 2 games, he's had 9 carries. So what do you expect him to do with 40 yards? What do you expect him to do with 9 carries, Skip? The problem is that for whatever reasons, if you guys fall behind by 7 points, you totally abandon the run. You just like, forget that. We got no chance of coming back unless we start throwing it. It happened to you against Tampa. You threw the ball 50 times. Ran it like, how many times you ran it? 13, 14? And then you did it again against Kansas City.
Although Kellen Moore tried to point out afterward, I called 10 more, but he checked out of them.
Okay, so what did you do against the Broncos? How many runs did you call against the Broncos? How many runs did you call against Kansas City? How many runs did you call against the Raiders? Skip, the man can't look. Nobody can do anything with 9 carries. And I'm not saying Zeke is not a guy that over a period of time, say the next 5 or 6 games, he's not going to carry it 25 times. That's not what he is at this point of his career. But I believe if you give him, just say you get 30 carries, you get 30, 35 carries in a game. Could Zeke somehow get 17 of those, and you let Tony Pollard take the rest of them while you're also giving him rushes and catches? Sure. But I just don't know what they expect Zeke to do when you're only giving him 9 carries and they're so periodic that how does he get a rhythm, Skip? So for me, can he carry a load? Yes, just not the load that he once carried, where everybody fell in love with. He led the league in rushing. He was a 2-time rush champ. He would have led the league in rushing had he not been suspended that second year. I think it was the second year he got suspended. So for me, Skip, I just think
still led it in average yards per game.
Correct. And he would have led in total yards had he played those 4 games. I just believe, Skip, you guys need to somehow find a more balanced approach. You cannot get 65% passes and 35% runs and then say, well, man, Zeke ain't doing nothing. Where you throwing the ball? Run him some. I'm not saying, Skip, you can give him 30 carries because I don't believe that's where he is now. I don't believe you believe that's where he is now. But I do think he and Tony Pollard can get 30 carries between the 2 of them, as opposed to 13, 14 between the 2 of them. And you say, well, I just don't see it. No, you're not going to see it with 9 carries.
Okay. Last Thursday, on Thanksgiving morning on this show, I went back to the well, or I should say the Salvation Army kettle, one last time, and the kettle was dry. I call this a kettle game for Zeke because they always put the big Salvation Army kettle out behind the end zone starting on Thanksgiving through the holidays.
I think even Dak jumped in the kettle one time. Did Dak get in the kettle one time, Skip?
He did. So I predicted, let's go back to the well and kettle one more time, 20 carries, and let's see 105 yards against the Las Vegas Raiders, who ranked 29th in run defense. 29th?
Yeah.
And you know the rest of the story because there was no story to tell. It was pathetic. We ran nowhere slowly. And I've seen enough to the point that this is desperation time tomorrow night at New Orleans. And I do not think it will be easy. So my team needs a spark. It needs a jolt. It needs new voltage.
Where you going with this?
It needs more Tony Pollard. And you'll probably dismiss him pretty quickly. TP is just toilet paper. But every time I see him get his opportunities, he cashes for me because he's just younger and quicker than Zeke is at this point. So as much as I try to love Zeke, as much as he's still on average pay, the highest paid running back in pro football, I just look at what's happening, and the history of this is just saying no, 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 no. That's what it's doing. It's putting exclamation points after the no's, because rookie year he averaged 109 yards a game. Then it goes down to 98 the next year, 96 the next year, 85 next year, 65 career low last year. And he's hovering right at that 65 mark as we speak. And his stock is going down, down, down after that early 3-game stretch.
Okay.
So what am I supposed to do with this? I still love the guy, but he is looking like more and more he's stuck running in Cabo sand, to the point that Pollard's got a burst, and Pollard can run it between the tackles more than you give him credit for, because he packs a wallop. He's listed, I don't know exactly what he is right now, but he's listed at 6 feet 209. Have you been watching what your man Kyle Shanahan has been doing with young Elijah Mitchell in San Francisco? Have you been seeing? Okay, so remember, Tony Pollard was a 4th-round pick out of Memphis in 2019. Kyle Shanahan just took a 6th-rounder out of Louisiana, a rookie this year, Elijah Mitchell, who is listed at 5'10", 200 pounds. So he's not Zeke-ish at 225.
Right.
We're talking about 200.
Right.
And because of the scheme, because they will just block you on your tail from all angles. It's so complex and so beautifully drawn up that Elijah Mitchell, I keep looking, and it's 107, it's 137, it's 135. It's just game after game, and the one last week was 137. It was 18 for 137. So it's just game after game after game where he is bursting on the scene with a burst, right?
But if you look at San Francisco back, Skip, they're small. What ended up happening to them? Mostert, what happened? Broke up. Breda got broke up, moved on. If you look at all of their backs, Skip, look, I gave you a prime example. Look at Christian McCaffrey. Where is he at? Those carries. Alvin Kamara. Every year, Nick, you cannot, at that size, which Tony Pollard is, if you run him like they do Christian McCaffrey, like they try to do Alvin Kamara, with all those touches, his body is not made to handle that load, Skip. He's just not. Watch the 49ers. When those backs, those small frame backs, great speed, one cut downhill, Skip, that's too small to take that kind of pounding game in and game out.
Ezekiel Elliott is starting to resemble Earl Campbell to me.
Yes,
you remember the Earl Campbell syndrome, where you pound him and he punishes defenses who are punishing him back.
Yes.
And finally, he can barely walk.
Yeah, he ran. But see, the thing, Zeke was the same type of guy. He ran to contact.
He does.
Some guys run out like, okay, look, I'm not trying to run. I'm going to make you miss, or I'm going to get out of bounds. I'm going to live to see another day. Earl, 3 times he was Offensive Player of the Year. He was an MVP. He was all they had, Skip. He was all they had. But as you look at Zeke's numbers, and you say 108, 109, and 90, as his carry the yardage starts to come down, Dak pass attempt starts to go up. So that's the counterbalance that we're dealing with, Skip. But it's so out of whack. How you go from 51% pass to 49% run in your wins, and somehow you go 65-35 in your losses. So there's the problem, Skip. Can we get this as opposed to that, one way or the other?
I'm going to knock on wood before I say this. Has Tony Pollard been hurt yet? No, he's not.
Because he's Skip.
I got it. He's still fresh.
Yes.
Okay. The quote that caught my ear, that shook me up after the game, came from Jerry in the locker room as he given his little State of the Union, as he always does as the owner and operator of the Dallas Cowboys. He blurts out that in our game plan was 25 touches for Tony Pollard. 25 touches? And he said, we came up a little short. Well, he came up a lot short because he got 14 touches against the Raiders.
Right.
25 touches? Well, that indicates
where the touches going to come from, Skip?
Rushes and catches, obviously, because he played receiver as much as he played running back at Memphis. So he can definitely catch it.
Right.
And they've had him back returning kicks, obviously returning kickoffs, and Lord have mercy on the opening overtime kickoff. But whatever. The point is, I have seen the bursts. And I've seen the voltage and the electricity to the point that it's your favorite website, Pro Football Focus. What have they done all year long? For the first 8 weeks of the season, they had Tony Pollard ranked as the #1 running back. They just go on what they grade, Right. He was graded #1 in the league for 8 straight weeks. He is now plummeted all the way to 3rd. They've got him ranked #3, but behind Cordell Patterson, who's having a sensational year when he's healthy. And, of course, #2 is Jonathan Taylor. #3 is Tony Pollard. That is screaming touches, more touches. I just think you need to shake it up. The problem is it's the Russell Westbrook problem of, well, you can't bench Russell Westbrook and you can't bench Zeke.
Right.
Can you balance it up a little bit more? Can you give Tony Pollard more touches? Can you get him more tosses?
Well, he got touches. I mean, I guess you say 25 touches, or we count those kick returns as touches?
Well, I hope we don't count the first one in overtime because that was a disaster.
Well, that was a touch. But, Skip, I just think the thing is, with his frame, I just don't believe 20 touches a game for him.
But 209 is not 190. He's bigger than you're giving him credit for. And every time he bangs it between the tackles, he runs hard. He's pushing piles in the middle of the football field. I promise you, he's hard to get on the ground.
But if you look at Christian McCaffrey is 205. But his is more compact than Tony Pollard.
Okay, but Tony Pollard runs with more authority than Christian ever thought about running with. I'm sorry that Christian just gets beat all to hell.
Yeah. Well, that one year where he had like 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing, that was a lot of carries. And it's just hard for it. And that's why everybody's kind of morphed to the dual back system, Skip, with the exception of, the Colts and when the Tennessee Titans had Derrick Henry. But when you ask these smaller frame guys, Skip, to try to carry that workload, and now you got to increase the game. That's why nobody plays their starters in the preseason.
6 feet, 209. Is that small? It's not all the way small. It's middle. It's somewhere in the middle.
But for an every down back, or for the amount of touches that you want him to have, that is on the smaller side. Yeah, you look at Emmett. Emmett was probably 212, but Emmett was 5'9".
I don't think Emmett weighed 212. I think he was 205. Seriously, but you want to talk about gifted?
Yeah, but you
want to talk about make you miss, like North Turner used to tell me, quickness in a confined space where you couldn't get a shot on him.
Yeah, but Emmett wasn't running the contact.
No, he was running away from contact.
Exactly.
Like anyone everywhere. He wanted no contact.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was running behind one of the greatest, I think is the greatest offensive line ever.
Yeah.
And it was mammoth.
Yes.
And he's 5'9", and he could just duck and dart and hide behind Nate Newton and Mark Tournay. Right. And all of a sudden, before you know it, he's up on the linebackers and he's ducking and darting.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, Skip, is that now I just don't look. And they try. I'm sure the NFL is testing. Is it the field? Because it seems like we have a rise in calf injuries and all that, and they don't really know, or we not. Skip, I just think the thing is that you got to practice. It's just hard to all you do is walk through and meet, Skip, and then you go out there on Sunday and you go 100 miles an hour. You go crash your car. You got to put it through the test. But I just don't believe Tony Pollard, Skip. And I get what you're saying because he does have more bursts. He does have more pizzazz than Zeke. But I just think there's a way you can get the maximum out of Zeke and the maximum out of Tony Pollard without overexerting either one or putting Zeke in a situation where you try to give him 25 carries, because I don't think he's that guy anymore. But I don't think Tony Pollard can carry the ball 20 times either.
I would like to find out. And to your point, maybe he'd carry it 20 and that'd be the last we see of him, right? But the point is, I stand by my stats. The stats that make or break my Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott is 29-0 as the starter for the Cowboys when they run it more than they pass it. And this year, Dak is now 0-4 when they don't run for 100-plus yards. Aha.
Right.
Well, what does that tell you? Run, Jerry, run.
Well,
right?
Skip, it's like when they fall behind, Skip, it's like they go in 2-minute mode and they're only behind 3 or they're only behind 7.
At Kansas City, they just abandoned.
Yeah, there was no reason to do that.
It ends up 19-9.
Yes. Okay. That's a 2-possession game. That's a touchdown and a field goal and you're tied. But you blame Zeke for that.
I don't blame him. I just can't see it anymore. I don't. How much do you see of this?
But
Skip, doesn't eat enough.
Skip, I tried to tell you that. Skip, you've covered this game. You've been around it. You've never seen a running back All of a sudden he's here and it starts to come here and it goes back there. You've never seen that.
I saw bounce back Zeke in the preseason. I know he didn't play in the games. I'm just talking about Hard Knocks bounce back Zeke. Then we saw 3 straight games. And guess what? My Cowboys rose to number 2 in the league in rushing. That is a formula for big success.
Well, how about y'all
use Super Bowl success?
How about y'all use that formula and stop throwing it all over the yard? How about that?
Tony Pollard is the answer. Micah on defense, TP on offense.
Okay, TP.
Yep.
Okay, TP.
Yeah, we'll just go. We'll go toilet paper the whole Superdome.
Like,
right?
I don't know if people can
Okay, TP. We gonna see.
Yeah.
No mercy.
This week on Thursday Night Football, Dak Prescott and the NFC East leading Cowboys take on the Saints. It all kicks off at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Fox, NFL Network, and streaming on Prime Video. Well, social media is going crazy over this clip of LeBron Sunday against the Pistons. Internet detectives heard the King saying he would shoot a fourth-quarter free throw attempt with his eyes closed before missing badly. Michael Jordan fans were quick to point out LeBron was inspired by MJ, who successfully did this move in 1991. We all know that shot. So, Shannon, do you believe he closed his eyes?
I do not believe he closed his eyes, and I remember that because he was talking to Dikembe Mutombo, who they were both represented by David Falk, if I'm not mistaken, at the time. So, and Jordan would have fun with guys that were, under, basically they were teammates in the same umbrella with David Falk, Skip. So I do remember when he said Mutombo, watch this, baby, and he closed his eyes. He actually made the shot. I don't believe LeBron closed his eyes. I wish they could have kept it at that angle so we could have definitively said one way or another, Skip, but they panned out, and so all we see is a side angle. He could have, but I don't believe, especially in a situation like that, when the game is, five? It's still close. It's still a close ball game. 7.9 seconds, they're only up 5. So I don't think he closed his eyes. I can't definitively say, but if I had to say in a moment like that, when there's still an opportunity for the other team to make shots and win the ball game, I'm going to say he did not do that. I don't think LeBron would do that in that situation, but there's no way to definitively tell. Like I said, they could have just left it, left the camera, because once you hear him utter that, I'm surprised the camera panned out and got a wide shot. Let's see if he actually closed his eyes.
Well, I kept looking for somebody's cell video from the end zone. I haven't been able to find it. Maybe it'll surface today now that we're talking about it.
Because at least when Michael said it, they kept the camera. It's like, he said he was going to close his eyes and shoot his free throws. Let's actually keep the camera on him to see if he actually closed his eyes.
And obviously, he exaggeratedly closed his eyes. He shut them hard.
He did.
And he did what?
He swished it.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All I know for sure is you can hear him say sideways to Cade Cunningham, a rookie, I'm going to shoot this with my eyes closed. It sounds like that, right? Will you go that far with me?
That's what it sounded like.
Okay, and then I can't tell exactly what happens after that, but he almost airballs it. So it's possible he did try to close his eyes, because it's not that easy to shoot him with your eyes closed.
No.
But I've told you...
The perception, the depth perception is that...
I've told you before, Michael actually practiced that shot, because I can't tell you how many times I was allowed in at the end of a practice, a lot of times on the road, a playoff practice. I remember one at Indiana one time where I walk in at the end. There are just 2 or 3 of us media types there. And as usual, Jordan's got some big money game going.
He tried to take somebody's money.
They're actually using blindfolds, where they are blindfolding each other, where you can make sure that the guy's eyes are covered.
Right.
And he was killing them. And I couldn't tell exactly how much money was changing hands, but trust me, knowing him, it was a lot of money.
Of course.
And he was killing them with his eyes blindfolded.
Right.
So he had practice at feeling the depth perception and trusting your hand and your motion to make the free throw. So he does it live. He said, Mutombo, eyes closed, watch, this is for you. And he ripped it. Okay, what do we know about LeBron? Well, obviously he has been obsessed with, to the point of being possessed with, outdoing Michael Jordan. So remember, just recently, that Jordan video caught fire on the internet. I don't know why, but it did catch fire one night.
Right.
And LeBron can be a prisoner of the internet. He stays on it at night, at home. And so no doubt he saw the video and saw how it took off.
Right.
And it planted a seed in his subconscious, like, well, maybe I should try that. Maybe I should pull that off. So why would he pick a late in the game against Detroit when actually they'd been pretty embarrassing because they had a pretty significant lead early in the fourth quarter, and I'm sitting there shaking my head because they almost lost it. Right?
Yeah, but you saw LeBron with that. They threw the ball, and I think Russ threw it, and LeBron almost went out of bounds, and all the Pistons had the ball about to hit us, and he let that three go. That was trending too. Okay,
that was trending also. Yeah, not like MJ's closed eyes free throw was trending.
Nah, man. Okay, you know, it's like when LeBron. You remember last year? He was standing, and Schroeder told him, I bet you won't shoot this. I bet you won't shoot this and not look. So he shoots the ball and turns around. I bet you $100. And the ball goes in. It's trending. Steph Curry has done that. How many times has Steph shot the ball, skip, and turn around and just runs back up the court? So guys know certain things obviously going to catch the media, going to catch social media on fire.
Yep.
Closing your eyes, shooting a free throw. Or somebody crossing somebody up and making them touch earth like Kevin Durant did last night to Julius Randle. That's going to take off.
Okay.
I don't believe he did it.
All I know is if he did do it, this was a pathetic moment to choose to try to do it because it's Detroit. What were they, like 4-18 at this point?
Yeah, they're bad.
Come on. What are you doing? Why would you pick that moment, even though the game had virtually been decided at that point? It had been so embarrassing that you had let that another big lead slip away. What were they up early in the fourth? It was like 13.
Yeah, they were up big.
13. Yeah. And at one moment, it went all the way down to 2, and then they held them off. Way to go.
Ended up winning by 3, I think.
It's Detroit. And why would you do it then? So I started thinking, well, I would love it if we actually saw LeBron at the end of games, because he against Sacramento last Friday night, he missed 2 potential game winners at the end of regulation and then the first overtime. Well, would really pay off if you want to out Jordan, drive the ball, go ahead, go to the free throw line to shoot free throws because the game's tied both times. Go shoot the free throw, and if you make the first one, that's all you need. Then shoot the second one with your eyes closed. Or if you want to shoot the first one with your eyes closed, then I'm really impressed.
We might do that in the NBA Finals.
Really?
Shoot it with the eyes closed in the NBA Finals.
To win the game 7?
It might as well. I mean, we done that. I mean, we'd have been there, done that.
You have not done that.
Swish.
When have you ever made a free throw to win a finals game?
We might do that game tied. No time on the clock.
Really?
Shoot the first one with the eyes closed. Because you remember, like, AD missed it in the overtime. He missed, not overtime, in the All-Star game. He missed the first one to put that pressure. Say he wanted to feel that pressure, want to feel what it was like.
Okay.
That what GOAT to do.
GOAT? You mean phony GOAT?
GOAT will miss the first one on purpose, just so you can get it, because he know you going to be like...
Then he's going to shoot the second with his eyes
closed.
Huh. I will give you this. If he did that, which he will never, ever even think about doing, if he did that, I would come in here and I would stand in the middle of this table and give him a standing ovation from the middle of the table.
You would admit he was the GOAT. If he did that, miss the first one on purpose, close his eyes on the second one, and splash it and win the game.
You know what? I'll go so far as I will give you that. I would admit he's the GOAT because you know and I know that will never, ever, ever happen. In his wildest dreams, that will never, ever happen because he runs from the late game free throw line like nobody I've ever seen.
We shooting almost 90% in the fourth quarter from the free throw line. You see that, right?
You see any late ones go in? And by the way, the one he shot, you should hope he closed his eyes because it barely ticks the front of the rim.
There you go.
Well, it's close to an airball free throw, which he is highly capable of.
He ain't highly capable. No, he's not.
He can commit those airball free throws.
No.
Yep.
But you just wanted to see him miss the shot. That's all.
He closed his eyes.
No, he did close his eyes, Skip.
It was a pathetic try. LeBron, pick a moment. Do it against Golden State or somebody. Do it against Phoenix.
Might do it against Brooklyn.
Really? Okay. Christmas Day. I'll take that.
Might do it against Brooklyn. Yeah.
Against the real best player on the planet.
I couldn't do it.
He played last night.
No mercy. And the Nets escaped with a 112-110 victory against the Knicks. KD saved his best for last as he dropped 11 of his 27 points in the fourth quarter. James Harden led Brooklyn in scoring with 34 points of his own. So, Shannon, are the Nets clearly the best team in the East?
No, they're not clearly the best team. They clearly have the best players. They probably have 2 of the top 5 players, 6 players in the East. But for whatever reason, Skip, James Harden, we haven't seen that consistency level from James Harden that we're normally seen over the last decade. We know what he liked. When he first got there, Skip, he was in the MVP discussion. There was a stretch for about 6 weeks, 8 weeks. He was in the MVP discussion. He tweaked that hamstring. He was never quite the same player. And he says it has a lot to do with what he's doing right now because he wasn't able to train the way he needed to this offseason. Mm-hmm. So he came back a little out of it. Now, he's never going to be Adonis. So I don't think anybody think you're going to see James Harden have shoulders like Dwight Howard used to have and abbed up. That's not what he's going to be. But what he can do is that light you up. I've seen James Harden get 18 one night and come back and get 60 the next night. So we know what he's more than capable of doing, Skip. But I just think the thing with him being as inconsistent as he is currently, I just don't know if KD is enough to get them past, let's say, a Milwaukee at full strength. I think when it's all said and done, if Miami can stay healthy, because they're a different team when Jimmy Butler plays as opposed to when Jimmy Butler doesn't play. So you got Jimmy, you got Bam. Tyler Hero's been sensational off the bench. Kyle Lowry is exactly what they needed to be a floor leader. So, excuse me. So, Skip, I look at it, sure. Kevin Durant's one of the two best players. He and Giannis, take your pick. We'll debate that another day. But right now, Giannis is 27-12 and averaging 2 blocks and 5 assists. So for me, can they come out of the East? Yes. Is it going to be as easy as we thought? Because I think everybody was thinking Kyrie was going to be there. And I thought we saw when Kyrie missed some games last year, Skip, we saw how smooth it was. But James Harden was playing on a different level then than what he's playing right now. So are they the prohibitive favorites to come out of the East? No, I wouldn't say that, Skip. I would say if you make me pick one right now, I say Milwaukee has a better chance of coming out of the East than the Nets. Maybe even Miami, but that's it for me.
Interesting. After last night, the Brooklyn Nets have a 15-6 record, which is a game and a half better than anyone else in the Eastern Conference. Mm-hmm. So something good is happening there very quietly, almost in the shadows. And once again last night, which I cannot fathom, I can't make it compute in my brain, the Knicks fans took over Barclays Center last night, and it sounded like a Knicks home game. With Spike Lee front and center just taking over the night, dominating.
KD has
Sharpe in his pink last
KD
night.
has fans. James Harden have fans.
Yep.
Not the Nets.
KD
and Harden.
Yep.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just wide open. It's
everybody
for the
takes
taking.
over.
Whoever comes, you just take it over. Who was it the other day?
It was Steph. Remember the
Golden
MVP?
State, they just took over the night, right? The Lakers go there, they'll just take it over. Okay, so what did I see last night on display? I saw the guy I believe is now the MVP of this league because he is still the best player on this planet. Kevin Durant played 40 more minutes because he's got to play high minutes because they just don't have much.
Whoa. Hold on.
Interesting.
I remember a guy that used to play major minutes, and you said he can't be playing those minutes. These little meaningless games. So why is he playing for almost 41 minutes?
Well, this wasn't a meaningless game. This is your arch rival.
They ain't no arch rival.
Yes, they are.
They just have to Skip. Stop.
Knicks got some firepower. They're dangerous. You don't want them to come in and embarrass you. Right?
Really?
On their home away from home game.
21 games into the season?
So what does Kevin Durant do? He goes 27 points. Most of them came late with 9 assists, which was a game-high 9 assists. And I look at what he's doing. He is leading the league in scoring at 29 a game with 8 rebounds and 6 assists. He's shooting a career-high 54% from the floor. He's 39% from 3, 86% from the free throw line. All numbers way out of LeBron's league.
So what did he do last night from the three-point line? He had 27 points, but how many shots did it take him to get that?
He didn't make one. But what happened over the last 5 minutes and 45 seconds?
He was KD.
He scored 11 points in the last 5:45, and the pivotal moment in the game happened with 27 seconds left. And if we could see this is my pet peeve about LeBron James. And KD just said, well, I'll just do this. He could have pulled up. He could have jacked it up. But the game's tied at that point. And he just says, I'm going to take it to the rack. I'm going to get fouled. Oh, he got fouled all over the place. He got hit low and high on the hands. Okay. And what does he do? You see what he did. He dropped them both. So he made his 2 free throws, clutch free throws under pressure. And all too often, it's my pettest peeve about LeBron James. He just, in a situation like that, I'll pull up.
This ain't about LeBron. This is about KD.
It's about LeBron versus KD.
How?
And how many times have we seen LeBron just pull up jack up some like logo three to take the pressure off because he's saying, well, I know my blind witnesses out there will give me a pass if I miss this shot because it's a high degree of difficulty. Well, then why don't you just drive it? You're still the best driver of the basketball ever, to me. Drive it, get fouled, go to the free throw line, and make the 2 free throws. Well, he's saying, I don't trust myself at the free throw line. Maybe he should shoot him blindfolded. But the point is...
That's not what he's saying.
He doesn't trust himself, so he'll just shoot the logo type 3, where if it goes in, I look like a hero. If it doesn't, I got to pass.
No,
right?
That's not what he's doing, Skip. But we do realize that as we start to get older, you don't have the same drive. You can't get to the basket with the relative ease as you once could. We saw Michael, we saw Kobe later go to the pull-up, go to the fadeaway. Why? Those were 2 still great drivers of the basketball, but they developed that shot because as they started to age, they realized they could not get to the basket with the same ease. Why can't LeBron be like that? Why is it, LeBron, you got to keep driving the basketball when 2 other great drivers also stopped driving the basketball?
I don't think Jordan stopped driving. I agree he reinvented himself with that mid-range fade.
Okay, LeBron reinvented himself with the 3.
With the logo 3s?
It ain't you make it seem like all of them logos. They're not.
He is a career 34.5% three-point shooter, and he's right at that for this year right now.
He's going to shoot 37%.
He's on pace. He's averaging 8.5 a game, which is like 2 more than he's ever attempted.
Well, he can shoot 8.5 as long as we make 3.5.
Well, is he?
Yeah.
Because he won't.
He will.
Okay, so he's going to up from 34.5 to what?
37.
40?
37.
37?
Yeah.
He's going to have to go on another Indy-type hot streak.
And he's very...
He'll have a hot streak here or there, and then he'll fall back in love with it, and he'll go 2 for 13 the next game. It's like clockwork.
We're gonna go on a streak, and where you were talking about, we're going to have like 4 games where we make like 3 or 4 of them in a row, and we shoot like 40% for those games and be right back in it. Mm. But look, KD did not... I mean, he missed some shots last night. He missed a couple of shots, a few, like 6 or 7.
No, he didn't have a great shooting night.
I was like, damn, KD missed that one? KD missed that one? KD missed that one?
Then he scored 11 in the last 5 minutes, okay?
But he's a great player.
He is a great player. He is the best player. So the point is, he needs some help. And last night, for the first time in a long time, maybe all year, he actually got some help from James Harden.
He got in the first half, though.
He did.
In the second half,
But James wound up with 34, and he wound up with 10 rebounds and 8 assists, which that'll all work. And he got to the free throw line 10 times and made 9 of them, which he will do.
Right.
I'd like to see him shoot 15 free throws, but we know he's not getting the calls because they've changed the way they call the game.
Well, the thing is, Skip, he had 34 points. He had 28 at half. So basically, in the second half, he didn't do much in the terms of scoring. And Kevin Durant and the Knicks was dilly-dallying around and, bull jiving and messed around and let the Nets stay close. And the next thing you know, a close ball game, and the other team has KD. Well, you're asking for trouble. You better put the game out of reach so KD can't have an impact on it. Because if you allow him to put his thumbprint on the game, he's going to leave it.
Yep.
And that's what happened. You let him get close, and he left his thumbprint on the game.
He did. So what do I see in James Harden? He reminds me a lot of Allen Iverson in that AI just refused no weight room. There's no cardio going on. I'm not going to sit on a bicycle and try to improve my cardio. I will play my way into shape. I won't practice my way into shape. I'll play my way into shape because I play basketball. I don't need a nutritionist. I don't need a personal trainer. I play basketball. And it'll work for X number of years.
Yeah, when you're younger.
It will. And then once you start to approach 30, it'll start to get you. And once AI got to Denver, it started to get him because he started looking a little bit heavy. Well, James came in this year, and he looked a lot heavy to me. But slowly but surely, if you'll let him keep playing, what did he play? Almost, 40 minutes. He played 40 minutes.
The thing is, though, Skip, when you're like this and you're not in shape and you play these kind of minutes, you set yourself up for a soft tissue injury, hamstring,
you do.
A groin,
I don't
calf.
disagree. But is he a weight room? No, he's not. No. Does he have a nutritionist? I don't know, but I'm going to doubt it. Because you can just look at somebody whether they have a nutritionist.
But that's the thing. That's the thing with these guys. I mean, as you start to age, Skip, your body you should. When I was young, I ate fast food. Skip, my first 3 years, I ate every single meal fast food.
Got it.
Those strips from Burger King. I got the French toast sticks. I'd eat McDonald's. I eat Wendy's, and then I come home and grab something. I grab Dairy Queen or whatever on the way home.
I got it.
And then after a while, like, why am I doing? I'm a professional athlete. I'm eating like this. No, that ain't how a professional athlete's supposed to eat.
You can get away with it for 3 years.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
You know, I was 22, still ripped up. And everybody looking at me like, bro, you eat like that and look like that? I'm like, yeah. So I just changed but as you start to get to your 30s and think you can eat and dilly-dally around with the training, it'll go downhill real quick for you.
In the end, you are what you eat.
You are.
In the end, that's who you are, is what you put in your mouth.
Yep.
So James is probably not eating very well, but he's playing high minutes. And last night was the first night I looked at him and I said, he looks pretty good. Like he looked, dare I say, svelte. You know, he started to look like a basketball player. He didn't have his little paunch that he carries.
Skip, James Harden in Houston. He gets 28 in the first half, he's going for 50.
Yeah.
He's going for 60.
Yep.
And that.
I don't disagree.
But I'm not so sure that he has the kind of energy to exert himself like he would need to go get that other 28 to match the 28 he got in the first half.
Yep.
So good thing KD was on his best behavior the last 5-6 minutes of the ball game. Or they're losing this game. Because I don't believe James could recapture it, because Skip, in the second half, he only had 6 points. So I'm not so sure he would have been able to recapture what he needed to take, what he needed to get, had KD not been able to do what he did over the last 5 minutes.
And I do not disagree. I'm going to knock on wood as I say it, with your point about you have to be careful at this age. If you don't stretch, if you don't hit the weights, if you don't keep your TB12 method going, how's Brady do it?
Yeah.
Well, he's got Alex Guerrero living with him, basically, to keep his body right at 44.
But you got to drink a lot of water. You got to eat right, because you playing the Skip. That's 40 minutes. That's 40 minutes, 20 games into the season.
Yep. Well, both of them played 40 minutes because it's kind of all they have right now.
Right. Are you concerned about those minutes because that's all they have? Blake Griffin's falling out of the rotation.
Well, he's completely out of the rotation. I mean, that's a shock to me. He was DNP last night.
Coach's decision. I've seen a lot of those when I get the sheet.
Because LaMarcus Aldridge took his place.
Why he took his place?
I don't know.
I know.
I like LaMarcus, but I think I like...
LaMarcus playing better than Blake. Skip, Blake was giving you nothing.
Boy, remember against Milwaukee last year, Blake would have some shooting nights where he just shoot the lights out.
Yeah.
And I just love how hard he played against Giannis. Maybe they're just saving him, conserving
They're not saving him.
You don't think so?
They're not saving him, and they got to play their two guys 40. KD played 41 minutes and Harden played 40. They're not saving him.
LaMarcus played
32
minutes and gave you 8 and 4. Okay. Wow.
Blake was playing that, wouldn't give you nothing.
He will defend. He'll fight you.
But LaMarcus can space the floor.
No, he can't. He's got the little mid-range.
Yeah, he can. And he's a big body inside, Skip. He protect the paint.
I just have to believe that Kyrie Irving will sort of come to his senses at some point. He just will, and he'll come back. After Christmas, he'll come back.
He ain't coming back, Skip. Man, you know Kyrie, he on that perch. he done stuck his flag.
He is proud.
He is.
No mercy. Saturday, after finally beating Ohio State, Jim Harbaugh leads the second-ranked Michigan Wolverines into their first-ever Big Ten championship game, looking to punch their ticket to the playoffs against number 13 Iowa. Coverage begins 7 p.m. Eastern only on Fox, and the Fox Sports app will be in Indy for that one, and I am looking forward to seeing it. Well, for that game, the Cowboys have a big one. They have been favored against the Saints all week, leading into the Thursday night matchup on Fox. But while the spread was as high as 7 points earlier in the week from some sports books, it's also dwindled down all the way to as low as 4 points as we get closer to kickoff. So, Shannon, how do you explain this shocking swing in the point spread?
Well, I think that has to do with a lot of uncertainty. We had a lot of players coming off of COVID. Got some going back on COVID, losing Mike McCarthy, losing Joe Philbin. Terrence Steele is under COVID. Tristan Hill, Skip, Pro Football Focus, your favorite website, says he's been the third best defender behind Randy Gregory and Micah Parsons on the defensive side.
I told you he had his best game the other day, and then he gets suspended.
Because
he actually got it reduced to just one game. Go ahead.
So for me, Skip, I don't think Taysom Hill is swinging the line, because I don't think he's a significant upgrade over Trevor Siemian. Hill in his 4 starts, he had a 60, a 23, a 48, and a 59, at average of 46, which is below average. 50 being average, he's been below average. They won against the Broncos. He was 9 of 16 for 78 yards and interception. They won 31-3, but that was the game in which the Broncos had to get a UPS driver to play quarterback. He had 1 completion, 2 interceptions on 9 attempts. And that was the game that Taysom Hill, they ended up winning. So I think a lot has to do with more of the uncertainty with the Cowboys as opposed to Taysom Hill playing for the Saints. I think the head coach being out, you and I don't think Mike McCarthy does a whole lot anyway, but he's still the head coach. And I think some of that uncertainty with all the things with the COVID situation and a few of these injuries, I think that has more to do with the line than Taysom Hill becoming the starting quarterback for the Saints.
So, big picture. My team, America's team, is still America's greatest attraction because it is now more than ever America's most wildly inconsistent team because you just can't figure this team out. If my team had lost at home to Atlanta 43-3, we wouldn't be having this conversation because we'd be pretty much done with the Dallas Cowboys.
No, you'd be done with them.
Well, I would be done. I'm close to being done already because they have worn me out in the month of November because 3 of those weeks they lost to the AFC West. And they didn't just lose, they stunk. They got, what's your favorite word, mollywopped by the AFC West. That's what happened.
We did a number on them
3 times. And it did a number on my psyche, and I'm battered, and I'm beaten down, and I'm gut-wrenched. And yet, I cling to, wait a second, we beat Atlanta 43-3, right in the middle of that nightmare. There's one heavenly moment in which the sun shone on Jerry World, 43-3, and it was like a Super Bowl type statement where you sit back from it. I know I came in here pretty fired up the next day. I nearly broke my hand hitting this table when I did How About? And yet I get swept up in it because, remember, they came out blazing hot. Right out of the chute, they said, watch this.
And Dak running touchdowns in the 4th quarter, late in the 4th quarter. You should be embarrassed. That's what you should be. But you were excited.
43-3, followed by nightmare at Kansas City. Not ready to play. Followed by not ready to play at home on Thanksgiving. Seems like Thanksgiving, they're starting to ruin my Thanksgiving every year.
You notice that too?
Yeah.
All them people watch.
Remember Buffalo and then Washington and then the Raiders. And
the Chargers beat y'all.
It was
beat the brakes off you.
Remember Phillip Rivers just threw a party on Thanksgiving?
A lot of people having bad Thanksgiving thanks to your team. You know, Thanksgiving don't taste as good when your team loses.
Like no Thanksgiving, right? Stop it. We got to give up the game. We got to do something else.
Yeah.
And now they're sort of getting even with us because they used to give us the big 10-day break after Thanksgiving, but now they every year make us to come right back and play on Thursday. So it's Thursday. Then you get your little mini bye, right? You don't get it out of Thanksgiving because it used to be something they just lived for. We rock and roll on Thanksgiving afternoon. We eat our turkey. We go home and celebrate, and we got 10 days off.
But that might not be a good thing, Skip, because 10 days off, what do you mean? You go your separate ways. You go your separate ways, guess what? You're not under the NFL and the protocol and all that. And then when you come back together, then what?
It's a new world.
Exactly. So that might not be a good thing for you getting this little mini break.
My team leads the NFL in COVID. It just does. It does. There's nobody close to the Dallas Cowboys. And now it's the coaching staff, and it's Terrence Steele, and it's one after another. Hopefully, we get Amari back. But is that influencing the line? No. Hopefully, we get CeeDee Lamb back. Is that influencing the line? No. Nope, it's not. Hopefully, we get DeMarcus Lawrence back. Is that impacting the point spread? No, it's not at all, because it opened around 7, and it's fallen all the way to 4.
Right.
What is up with that? Because usually the public wants to bet on the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
But as much as the public loves to hate the Dallas Cowboys, the public can't figure them out. And more people are saying, time out, I don't trust this.
Right.
Because much of November was untrustable.
Right.
And I just go, I say what I see. And I always tell you, I test it, and my eyes are telling me, uh-oh, trouble.
Right.
And obviously, I said the Raiders were make or break. You got to, because it's a home game. And I've just been to I've covered too many games in New Orleans. I cannot tell you how up that city gets for the Dallas Cowboys. They're rivals because they're remember, they're touching state lines.
Right.
And the Saints fans hate the Cowboy fans because they've had to live with them because they live so near them.
So you think Taysom Hill, because remember last week, Skip, Indiana, the line started one thing and then it moved. I say, Skip, in order for a line to move like this here, LeBron or AD's not playing. Somebody's not playing tonight.
You're right.
And lo and behold, AD didn't play. That's why so are you saying that Taysom Hill is worth 3 points?
I am saying that because Trevor Siemian has been such a nightmare for them.
The man beat Tom Brady. How you beat Tom Brady didn't be a nightmare, Skip? He was you saw that. You, like you said, you eye tested it. You saw what he did against Brady in those Bucks.
Trevor Siemian. They needed a jolt, some voltage of lightning strike. And I told you that's why I need Tony Pollard to offset Taysom Hill. He's an energy player. He's got a little Tebow going in him. He's a playmaker. He's a fire starter. He's a stadium rocker. And at home, he's been better than he's been on the road because the crowd just feeds off him and he feeds off it.
Man, Micah Parsons going to have 5 tackles for losses.
You think so?
Yeah.
Hey.
When they try to run that zone read, Micah Parsons going to be all over that.
Boy, I hope so, because Taysom Hill is a load. And unlike Tim Tebow, Taysom Hill can fly for his size.
Yeah.
He's a legit 4'4"-ish.
Yeah.
Right? If he gets loose, he can really go. And he throws it a little better than Tebow did. I don't think he has Tebow's intangibles to that level where he can just take games completely over. But he scares me. And I just knew it. I predicted 2 weeks out. I said, just watch. New Orleans will have Taysom Hill back. And they're still playing coy about it, still playing gamesmanship where they say, we're not sure. We got to see him practice again today because he's got a heel, sort of foot injury. I don't know exactly what it is. But it has plagued him and kept him out. But Trevor Siemian, I am not afraid of. Taysom Hill scares me to death. And I believe he's the biggest reason that line has dropped to that point because Dallas is getting so much healthier that you would think, oh, they got this. But if you eye test them, they don't got anything.
Well, I mean, when they're getting healthier, you're supposed to get D-Law back. Your offensive line is intact again. You're getting Lamar. You're getting CD back. You guys should have stayed there, even with Taysom Hill. Without Taysom Hill, you should have been a 10-point favorite. With Taysom Hill, you should be 7.
I mean, come on. Terrence Steele, he's going to swing the line because he's COVID protocol?
Right.
I don't think so. So my point is, it's going to be a madhouse in the Superdome. They don't have much left to play for except pride because they're getting run over in the division. But
they still got a chance. They still right there.
They got a chance. But my point is, it's just, 3 weeks ago, they did a number on the GOAT.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying.
In that building, right? Okay, so I'm with you. I look at that as more of a defensive day than a Trevor Siemian day. But they did a number on Tom Brady. They confused him. They picked him off and pick six him at the end. And I don't trust this. I already told you I am leaning toward picking the Saints to win this game.
No.
And I think the line is right there with me. It's almost like an emotional barometer of what the public is feeling, and it's gone down. 3 points is a huge swing.
It is a huge swing, unless somebody came in and bet millions. But anyway, with that, but y'all still a 4-point favorite on the road. How many teams have been 4-point favorites on the road? That should tell you something. Tom Brady wasn't a 4-point favorite against the Colts.
No, 3. Okay?
Y'all are 4.
Okay, but the Saints have stunk, right? So, but they got a big change at quarterback. Yeah, I know they've been beat up on defense, but they still got their stalwarts.
Y'all been stinking just as bad over the last month, just like the Saints. The Saints got 1 impressive victory and some terrible losses. Y'all got no impressive wins and 3 losses. So, I mean, it's not like y'all just perfumed up and y'all got y'all Sunday best on getting ready to go somewhere. Y'all been looking awful, too.
We've been looking awful, and our quarterback has been wildly inconsistent.
Okay, dear.
And he needs help. He needs a running game. That's why we need Tony Pollard. But I just don't trust this team to go. This is dangerous. And you know what's about to happen? It's about to get real cold on the East Coast. It already is. But the point is, I'm talking about psychologically cold because we have to go to Washington, we have to go to New York, and we have to end up going to Philadelphia.
Good. Hope it's inclement weather.
You're still in play with your 10 cases that we have.
After Monday, there's a chance I get to be able to buy out for 3.
No.
Skip. No. You told me I could have a week. You told me you'd give me 1 more week.
I'm going to predict this up front. After Sunday, game, which is Washington at Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be a game back. That's what's going to happen.
If I'm a game back, I still might not feel good about my situation and buy out.
You will not. I won't let you. And I'm here to predict. I said it before. This whole division will come down to Dallas at Philadelphia, the final regular season game. Watch it, book it.
Even the IRS will let you buy things, put pennies on the dollar, Skip.
They will
if
not.
I ain't got it, Skip, they say we tell you, just give us what you got.
That's not the IRS I know.
That's stressful for all. No mercy. Here we go. LeBron didn't play last night after entering health and safety protocols, but the Lakers rallied to a big 117-92 win against the Kings without him. And after the game, AD told reporters, quote, "We still have to find ways to win. We can't let that affect us. Me and Russ, as the head of the snake, we've got to be able to continue to lead these guys until LeBron comes back." So, Shannon, what did it tell you that the Lakers won so impressively without your guy, the King?
Tells me they're capable of beating bad teams when they put their mind to it. The Kings aren't a very good team, Skip. They can play defense when they choose to do it. They can do a better job of protecting the basketball when they choose to do it. They had 10 turnovers in the first half. They had 4 in the second half. And their defensive rotations were where it needed to be. They started to show pride. Once they got down by 14, they were just going through the motion. The first half and the first 5 or 6 minutes of the second half, Skip, they were going through the motion. And then all of a sudden, it's like, this is embarrassing. We're in it. This is embarrassment to the purple and gold. All the Laker nation, Laker faithful out there that watch us every single, this is embarrassing. Yeah. And then something just like click.
And by the way, a whole bunch of Laker faithful were in the house last night because they took it over.
Exactly. Yeah. Skip, look, it showed me there is a good team in there somewhere. Maybe Sacramento did something to pull it out. As AD said, me and Russ as the head of the snake, we've got to do a better job of leading this team when LeBron isn't in there. You cannot just concede, well, since we don't have LeBron, we can't win. Sure you can. Because I see it on a nightly basis. Team win games without their best player. And the other 2 best players, they step up and take the game over. And that's what should happen. And they got great contributions from Malik Monk, from Wayne Ellington, Dwight Howard. Melo again was Melo last night. So, yeah, they can do that, Skip. They can do, but I just need this. But at the end of the day, Skip, what can they do with all 3 of them on the court together?
Good question.
We haven't seen that enough. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're basing this on. You and I both know the expectations are the Lakers with LeBron, AD, and Russ, can they win a championship? We've only seen them on the court a handful of times. LeBron has missed half the season.
More than.
So all that's good. That was great, Skip. They beat a bad team. They came from behind to do it. But I just want to see them. I just want to, can we get 15 games with LeBron, AD, and Russ on the court together? Can we do that?
And can you make it work? What I saw last night was a huge statement from your team.
Yeah.
With no King at Kings. I believe that team that we saw last night got sick and tired of hearing it cannot win without LeBron James. And we're talking about a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer in Russell Westbrook and a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer in Anthony Davis. And you keep telling me a no doubt Hall of Famer in Dwight Howard.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
And we'll throw Carmelo in there because I'm pretty sure he's going to get in the Hall of Fame, too.
Carmelo's the 75th anniversary team. It's going to be hard to keep a guy in the Hall of Fame that's on that team.
And he was pretty good. Like, he gave you 14, 4 of 9, didn't make it 3, but he was pretty good.
Yes.
I saw Carmelo playing hard last night, but the guy who tilted the floor in favor of the Lakers was one Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
Because, as he said after the game, Frankie V, as your coach Vogel, told him before the game, you're not in the rotation tonight, not going to play a lick.
Right.
And then that started happening. It started to slip away, playing gutless, heartless defense. And all of a sudden, a desperate Vogel said, I got to reach for Dwight because Dwight will shake things up for better or for worse. I think it proved last night Dwight Howard should be in the starting lineup.
If you're going to start with that big lineup, absolutely.
Why wouldn't he start over DeAndre? Because, again, is Dwight as likable as No, he's not. Is he as liked by LeBron? No, he's not. Because DeAndre is everybody's best friend. You know, they love him. But What is he giving you? What did he give you last night?
Nothing. That's what he gave you. Nothing.
He gave you 4 minutes and 22 seconds of 0 of 1 from the floor, and he gave you 2 rebounds. He was a -4, 0 points. It's not. Dwight impacts the basketball game, sometimes for better and worse, but he does it so physically that it shakes things up.
Skip, now you know there's a game coming where Dwight Howard's going to foul out in under 10 minutes. You know that game's coming.
Okay. It's okay.
But you know he's more apt to have something. Now, he might not give you double-doubles, but he'll give you some double-digit rebound games in very limited minutes.
Yep.
He's going to set screens. Skip, it ain't like you running offense for the dude. All he getting lobs and putbacks. That's all he's getting. You're not running. Hey, Dwight dropped down the block like he was in Orlando, Skip, when they actually ran plays for him. So at least give him a bone here and there. He's setting screens. He's picking up everybody's mess because everybody's getting beat off the dribble. He's trying to clean that up. They dished to his man, and everybody like, what happened? Dwight said, well, I came over to try to help you out.
I know, but he fights so hard for offensive rebounds. And then I hope this game was a huge statement to LeBron, wherever he was watching.
When they sent him back home?
Well, the last time they faced Sacramento last Friday night, he went 2 of 13 from 3. Over the last 3-game stretch, he shot more threes in 3 games than he has any time in his whole career. Will not work. 34 3-point attempts in 3 games. He made 11. 2 of 13 against Sacramento. It's why they lost in triple overtime to Sacramento and why they won last night without him, because he wasn't missing so many threes. Got to stop it. Got to change it. Got to change your approach. You've got to get everybody else more involved instead of shooting so many often logo threes.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, last night, for whatever it was, they looked at themselves like, man, this is embarrassing. We're losing to 13 to this team.
Yep. And then they closed out the game on a 65-26 run. You don't see that very often in the NBA.
37-15 in the third quarter, 30-18 in the fourth quarter. Can I interest you in that, Skip? When you score 50 points in the first half, you score 37 in one quarter. So it lets me know what you're capable of doing when you take care of the basketball and defend.
It is in there. Somewhere it's in there.
Yeah. Deep down inside, that's a good team. Deep down.
No mercy. Robert Griffin III is writing a tell-all book called Surviving Washington about his tenure with the franchise that drafted him 2nd overall in 2012. The publishers said the book will detail, quote, the shocking mismanagement and toxic culture within the most dysfunctional professional football team in America. What a headline. Shannon, will this be a must-read?
It's not a must-read, but I'm going to read and see how much accountability he actually takes. And then I might have a little something to say about what he says. Because I know some things that RG3, I'm going to see if he puts everything in the book.
Good point. I buy that.
Because here's the thing about dysfunction. RG3 didn't have a problem with that dysfunction as long as it was benefiting him. The moment the dysfunctionality became, it didn't tolerate him, now he wants to write a book. You ain't write no book when your wife was getting escorted and ride with Daniel Snyder to the games. You ain't write nothing about that. You was keying. When you was going upstairs, when you and your dad went upstairs.
They did.
And told Mike Shanahan that you were not going to be a running quarterback anymore. You were not going to do the offense that had made you Rookie of the Year. And y'all went to Daniel Snyder.
His father compared him to
Peyton Manning.
Thank you.
I'm going to make sure you put that in the book. Now, make sure you put in the book also, while you having surgery and you rehabbing, you was also working on a marriage. You was getting married. You also was going to the Kentucky Derby. I'm going to make sure you put all that in there. But I'm going to read to see how much actual facts, because even though my head coach, Mike Shanahan, was there are a lot of other people that was in the Broncos organization that was also in Washington. So I know some very intimate things, but I'm not going to discuss that. This is not the time or the place. I'm going to see how accurate his portrayal is in the book. And then I might come back and have a little something to say after that.
I am also privy to many of those intimate details, and I would like to see how self-critical RG3 is in this book. I know and highly respect Gary Myers, who's going to be the writer of this book, and Gary doesn't do sanitized. He doesn't write puff pieces or puff books. This will be tell it all, and he will push Robert, let's tell it all. And you know how big a fan I was of Robert coming out of Baylor, Heisman Trophy, and I said, I'll take him over Andrew Luck.
Right.
Did he ever back me up out of the chute? Because thanks to your old coach and his son, they put Robert in the perfect position to win Rookie of the Year, make the Pro Bowl, and win the division.
Correct.
They were up 14-0 in a home playoff game over the Seattle Seahawks when Robert tweaked a knee that had already been hurt once, and he hung in the game, and they led 14-13 going to the fourth quarter, and then disaster struck because it finally went out. If we could see that this is the end of RG3 in Washington, he went down on his own. It was hanging by a thread already, and everything went, all the ligaments went. And then he turned into one of the first social media victims to me because I started to call him RG me or RGIII. And he lost it. I have never seen an athlete lose his confidence as completely as Robert did, because when he came back from his big, highly touted rehab.
No pressure, no diamonds.
There you go. Thank you. We heard that again and again. He was a shell of himself, and then he just completely lost it.
Right.
And I couldn't recognize him anymore, and they obviously lost that playoff game 24-14. That was the end of RG me in D.C.
Right.
Right?
A lot of that had to do with Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
Because if you remember, Skip, he got hurt in the Baltimore Ravens game with his leg whipped around Haloti. The next game, Kirk Cousins starts.
Philadelphia. Yep.
No. It was against Cleveland.
Oh, Cleveland. You're right. It was Cleveland.
They beat Cleveland.
They did.
RG3 was supposed to miss 2 to 3 weeks. Cousins plays unbelievable. RG3 says...
He came back against Philadelphia, yes.
Like I said, I want to read his story. Because
and who did Mike favor? Because Mike wanted Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
Correct?
That was correct. Because what Mike tried to explain to Knucklehead, who is Daniel Snyder, is like... You do realize that we're in salary cap hell. The NFL has just docked us $30 million in cap space. Okay, if we give up all of these picks for the future, how do we make the team better when we can't go out and spend in free agency when we have no money?
Yep.
And how do we build through the draft when you've given up all of this?
Yep. Okay.
Well, don't worry about that.
Remember, as a rookie, Robert led the National Football League in quarterback rush yards over Cam, over Michael Vick, over Kaepernick. And it was a lot attributed to that offense.
When it went down to, and how Art Browse used him. That's not Kyle Shanahan's offense.
Nope.
That's not Mike's offense.
They figured it out, but Robert could not figure out how to slide. They brought in baseball players to try to teach him how to slide. They brought in the Nationals, right? And he's such a great athlete, and he has Olympics class speed.
He did. He was a hurdler.
And he was killing people off the read option. He could get 7 or 8 yards like that, untouched. But then you have to get down.
But the problem was, Skip, even though he had success, he was Rookie of the Year. Everybody was still saying, I would start my team with Andrew Luck. Because Andrew Luck was more prototypical, and he wanted that. He wanted Peyton Manning. He wanted the Tom Brady. He didn't realize, look, he was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson.
He was.
That's what he could have been.
Much bigger arm than Lamar has.
But he couldn't wrap his mind around that, Skip. Okay. I want to be seen as those guys, realizing you can be successful. Lamar Jackson won an MVP. Okay. Lamar Jackson's been to the playoffs, playing that style of football.
I do want to hear about all the dysfunction, but I need RG3 to bare his soul about his role in the dysfunction.
Well, we know the NFL is sitting on a million emails of dysfunction that they won't release. So we know the dysfunctionality is there. We don't need RG3 to tell us that. Yep. We already knew that. But the question is, how much and how self-critical, how self-reflective is this book going to be? Is it going to be all about what they didn't do and all the things that they could have done? Yep. Or is it going to say, you know what, I played a role in some of this dysfunctionality? It's going to be very interesting.
If I know Gary Myers the way I think I do, I'm all in to read this.
Well, I'm going to read and see how much of it is true.
No mercy. Von Miller posted an ode to the Lombardi Trophy on Instagram to help inspire the Rams to rebound in December. Miller, who was named MVP of Super Bowl 50, wrote, "I'm coming back for you. I promise." So emotional. Shannon, do you like, love, or hate it?
I hate this. I like Von a lot, but it's time for him to put these words into action.
Yeah.
LeBron had 4.5 sacks to start the season. He's gone 5 games without having a sack. He said something very similar when he was in Denver.
Yep.
Vaughn, it's time to put words, it's time to put actions to those words. Nobody cares about what you... Skip, when people are like, oh, I'm going to dedicate this to my seat, I don't care. I'm trying to get accomplished what I need to get accomplished. You think I care that you're going back for that trophy? I want it too. Bruh, it's time to put up. I'm tired of all these montages about I want this and I want that. It's time to put up.
I was embarrassed for Vaughn about this.
Yeah.
A love letter to the Lombardi. He's just playing to the social crowd instead of just playing,
yes.
right?
1 hit on the quarterback, 0 sacks.
Lord have mercy. It has come to this for the Rams?
Come on, man. Bond better than this. I'm not expecting 2015 Bond. I'm really not, Skip. But I know Bond, does he have more than what we've seen? Now, we know he missed last year, Skip. But early on, I was like, okay, he's showing some flashes, but those are some bad teams. Let me see as they step up in caliber team. Let me see if he can still generate this. I haven't seen it. Now, they gave up a second and third, hoping that you can bring something with Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald. And I haven't seen it, bro. And love letters on IG, ain't gonna get it.
I'm surprised you guys, no hopeless romantics over there?
Nah, there ain't no hopeless romantics in pro sports.
We're back tomorrow.